Hello, everybody, and thank you that you are interested in oral structure and biology, and that you found my channel to watch my videos. Here at first, I'd like to give you a brief introduction and an overview of all the videos you can watch in this channel. Why should you actually listen to me? Well, I'm just over 65 years old and I've been involved in the face in research and on patients for over 40 years. And maybe that will be of some benefit for you. I have studied medicine and dentistry in Göttingen in Germany and in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I have received a postgraduate education in anatomy and in orthodontics. And since 1992, I'm a professor at Free University of Berlin, and I'm head of the Department of Craniofacial Developmental Biology at Campus Benjamin Franklin of University Medicine in Berlin, Charité. Here, over 30 years, I was able to work with very well-trained, knowledgeable staff, and with many postgraduate students in basic research in this field. And how does the face develop prenatally, and how does it grow, and what is all in there, and what's the structure at the microscopical level? And you also saw it in the introduction, I really enjoy giving lectures here in Berlin, and I've also had invitations to guest lectures and to guest professorships in many countries. I have been giving this lecture on oral structure and developmental biology for a very long time. And it even received an award by the students at the Benjamin Franklin campus as the best lecture in 2002, 2003, and 2004. This award means a lot for me. It is the highest recognition for me as a university professor because it comes from the students. I was always able to adapt this lecture to the current findings, and I was able to deliver it every semester for about 50 students at our campus until 2021. Then, unfortunately, this lecture was abolished because it was no longer listed in the new regulations for licensure, which have been in effect since 2021. You have to know that there's a very tight framework in medicine in Germany, which is best described by bureaucratic vocabulary such as teaching load, timetable, study hours, required teaching hours, student admission guideline in conjunction with faculty capacity regulations and the like. When I retire in 2024, even the Department of Craniofacial Developmental Biology will be closed also, because it no longer fits into the aforementioned structural concept of the licensure regulations, and the faculty is no longer interested in maintaining this department alongside it, as before. Nevertheless, I was able to devote myself intensively to this research for more than 3 decades and to allow about 60 graduate students to participate in it. And in Berlin, this meant 64 semesters for me on duty, and if 50 students per semester had listened to my lectures, then this must have been a total of more than 3,000 students. And those who are now studying according to the currently valid licensure regulations and do not know this lecture, but only from hearsay, they have wished that this lecture should be made still somehow accessible. And this is why I produced these videos. After all, there is the textbook with all the illustrations for my lectures, and the students can really follow the lectures in it almost one by one. And maybe you don't like reading that much. That is why I've just managed to produce all the lectures on almost all the chapters of this book here in this channel as videos. The structural biological basics for treating our patients are important. Without them, it could become dangerous. And I must say, I only really understood the findings, diagnostics, and treatment measures at the patients much better only after I knew more about the structural biological basics. You know, I do work 1 day a week as an orthodontist and in craniofacial orthopedics, and I hope I will always succeed in establishing the clinical reference for you in these lectures also. The individual videos are then also pretty much created on the basis of the chapters in the book. And in any case, you will see the most important illustrations, and I will explain what I want to show with them. However, it will not be possible to avoid that you have to read one or the other topic more thoroughly. In case you really want to have the textbook, there is of course a link below. I gave my lectures whether in the summer, in the garden of the clinic, or then in the lecture hall. In any case, I have never bored my students with facts and tables, because you can read them all up in the books. Instead, I prefer to give more important to the present context information. And hopefully, this will open the door a little crack wide open also for you, and I hope that I can spark your interest in reading more in depth. And in the end, it's more exciting than the weekend thriller on TV or what you can stream. And one more thing, there is another book, the Atlas, The Face, which I could make together with Karl Wesker, the world's best artist for anatomical illustration. You will see it in the corresponding lecture videos. And of course, the link to the book is also here below. So who is the target audience? Are you studying dentistry? Then you are in the right place here. And are you also studying medicine? Then you are also right in this place here. I know that the head, the face, and the oral cavity cannot always be represented as intensively while enrolling in general medicine. Of course, you then have to direct your attention to the entire body. Assistant professions such as a dental assistant, dental hygienists, and nurses, they can also take away important basics for their profession. And of course, anyone with special interest in the face, the mouth, and the structural biology of this region. In here are the individual chapters. We'll start, of course, with the anatomy of the face. With this, I cannot replace the entire lesson on anatomy of the head, but here is really just about the face. That is, what's about 1 finger thick under the skin, and that's quite a lot, you will see. And then we will devote ourselves in detail to the anatomy of the mouth. You can see here already in the cover images that there's very many special muscles arranged around the mouth. And if you want to treat patients in the mouth successfully, then thorough knowledge of the inside of the mouth is also important. And then the blood supply and the innervation by the cranial nerves. And after we have specifically laid the anatomical foundations with the lectures on the face and on the mouth, it is naturally interesting to know why it all looks the way it does. By that, I don't mean the history of evolution. I would like to share with you the fascinating insights we have gained into how body shape develops and what's the role of the genes during this development. And with these general basics, we can then turn to the question of how the face is created during prenatal development and how growth continues after birth. And maybe I can amaze you with the fact that at the end of the lecture, you will agree with me that we will actually never really be grown up. Tooth development is a prime example of the formation of an organ system that forms from 2 germ layers in the embryo. Teeth are formed by the epithelium and by the mesenchyme. There are interesting epithelial mesenchymal interactions necessary in tooth development. And teeth are also a prime example of the question of how shape is formed during embryonic development. Think of the complicated cusp pattern on molars, and every tooth looks different. And how does that work? And is it possible to regrow a tooth in a test tube sometimes in the future? How does the body manage to create a structure as hard as dental enamel? You will see what the ameloblasts have to accomplish here. First, they secrete a matrix. Then they reabsorb 98% of this matrix and enrich it with crystals so that the enamel becomes as hard as we know it is. And then the tooth shape also has to be designed, which is the crown, which consists of enamel on the outside. An exciting story, I tell you. And dentin is no less interesting. Dentin contains cell fibers in the canal system which can be up to 4 millimeters long or even longer. And dentin, unlike enamel, can be formed throughout life. What's the difference? Dentin, pulp and root belong together because the pulp, and that's the soft tissue within the tooth, is located in the cavity enclosed by dentin, and that's the tooth root. And it consists largely of dentin, penetrated by canal systems, all of which have their clinical significance. And how are the teeth attached in the bone? That's what this video is about. The root is covered by a thin layer of cementum, and this is where the fibers radiate in and anchoring the tooth in the bone. Details on this and also on whether you can tell a person's age from cementum lines, yes or no, in this video. And here they are in detail. The fibers that anchor the teeth in the bone and also attach to the gingiva. Yes, I have dedicated a whole separate video to them, and it's just not the fibers alone. Already mentioned and several times before, it also gets its own lecture now, the alveolar bone. This is where the teeth are inserted, and this bone is quite alive. The oral mucosa. You will be surprised how many different types there are. So as the skin is different everywhere on the body, we know that from the horny skin on our feet as compared to the soft skin on our cheeks, for example. And it's the same in the mouth. There are so many different regions, and you will see. And saliva is a very important substance in our body also. Here you can see where it is produced and how. And the development of the dentition appears like the start in a Formula One car racing. And as it is the case with several Formula One starts, things can go wrong. And also the teeth can also get on a collision course. Watch how it usually works without any accident. And then the Temporomandibular Joint, a very complicated joint. It has to guide the lower jaw and has at the same time also the teeth to have to fit together or at least not get in the way. And there is actually a very important muscle missing, you will see. So that's the overview for now, and I hope I can inspire you as much as I am. After all, it is all inside your own body, so you can learn something about yourself also. And even though this topic is so full of facts we think we know for sure, they are true, but there are still a lot of questions left unanswered. In this textbook, I have highlighted the text dealing with open questions in gray boxes. And if you have any questions now, write them in the comments and I will take a look and I will answer them. Besides, you can also contact me by email. The contact details are also here below. Oh, and it may also be in the course of time that there will be one or the other lecture on a special topic which I have not yet listed in the preview here. So I'm happy if you watch all the lecture videos. I hope it helps you in these studies. For now, I thank you for your kind attention.